Hi everyone. Well, today's video is going to be nice and quick, hopefully. This is just a quick preview of the new Creepy Uncle V2, which I've just received today from Denis Lukinov. Let's go ahead and have a look at it. I will be doing a more in-depth video later on when I've put it all together and weathered it, and I'll probably get it installed as well. But just a quick look. So this is a new 2024 Creepy Uncle V2. I used to have the Gen 3 of the original Creepy Uncle, but unfortunately I've sold it, so I can't do a direct comparison between the two. But yeah, this is beautiful. And I've already looked at it quickly before I started filming. So I just thought I'd talk about a few things that I've noticed. Quickly, top to bottom, there's a blade plug. So I wanted to test the blade depth. So as you can see here, there's a recess right there. I think that's for the sort of PCB. But I've checked the blade depth, and I've actually marked it on my blade. And it goes fairly deep. I've just marked it up to here. And I've measured that, and it's 2.5 centimeters. And it felt quite sturdy to kind of swing around. But, you know, time will tell. Unfortunately, you can't do a recessed blade with this. That's the only downside of this new one. Is with the original, you had the option of doing a recessed blade, which I always prefer with thin necks. But you can't with this because it doesn't come with that cup. So you're kind of stuck with a standard blade. So, but it seems to have pretty decent depth compared to things like the Mom and the other kind of V1 Hero styles, which are a little bit shorter. But anyway, moving on. So the nice new feature about this is that the emitter screw, or the retention screw for the blade, is hidden. You can see it in there. It actually took me a little while to figure out how to get through this, but essentially you have to loosen this ring over here. So you just go like that. I actually asked someone, and he very kindly replied back and showed me how he did his. But you loosen that ring on the emitter to access the retention screw. That's it. And then you pop the blade in, obviously, or the blade plug, and you tighten that screw from there. And once you've done that, you slip that ring back and, you know, you thread it back on. So it's nice that it's hidden. That makes it look more accurate, obviously. So that's one improvement over the original Creepy Uncles. Otherwise, just from memory and from some comparison photos I've seen online, the emitter is much the same as the old one. I don't see any differences in sort of size or dimensions or design. It all looks exactly the same as the previous one from memory. The neck is different. This is now made of bronze. The previous ones were made of brass. You know, bronze and brass, they're very similar metals, aren't they? They're both kind of alloys of copper, obviously. Brass just kind of tends to age slightly differently. It tarnishes over time. It becomes a bit darker, a bit more kind of blackish brown, just due to the nature of what brass is. It's sort of a mixture of copper and zinc, I think, whereas bronze might be copper and something else. I don't know, tin or whatever. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. But bronze is just slightly different, and it has a more, almost a slight reddish, or gold rather, sort of a gold hue compared to brass. So it's very beautiful, and it seems to be more accurate because this whole thing came about when I'm just going into a little bit of background now as to why Denis decided to do this in the first place. So a few months ago, there was a Disney 100th anniversary exhibition in London and in some other cities around the world, I believe Chicago. And I actually went to that one, and they had this on display. They had the Last Jedi hilt on display, and it was definitely metal. Unfortunately, it was behind plexiglass, so I couldn't get very good photos from kind of all around, but I got some pretty decent ones, and I posted them online, and there was a lot of interest. So people were asking kind of questions about it and debating if that's a real prop or not, but it definitely was metal. Whether it was used on screen or not, I can't confirm that, but it looked to be a metal hilt, unlike the one that was shown at Star Wars Celebration in 2017, which was made of resin. So with that, I think Dennis kind of saw those pictures, and probably other people shared them too, not just me, obviously. And they kind of picked up a few differences that hadn't been picked up before. And one of them was that the neck seemed to be made of bronze. And so I think a couple of months later, he decided to make a new run, completely redesign his creepy uncle. So it's not a Gen 4, but it's actually the V2. It's like a redesigned. So first of all, he said he's going to do a hidden emitter retention screw. He's going to make the neck made of bronze instead of brass. And he's just going to tweak a little things, just slightly adjust some dimensions and things like that. And so I think that's the reason he did it. So this is probably more faithful to the prop that we've seen at the Disney 100 exhibition. Whereas the original one is kind of inspired by what we see on screen. So I don't know if the two hilts are the same, but yeah, there you have it. The next differences, I can't see it clearly on camera. I'll try to adjust it, but the anodizing has changed as well on the black part. I know you can't really see it. I'll try to zoom in. Sorry, really bad lighting in here, but maybe from this angle you can kind of see that the black is more matte this time with the anodizing. It used to be a glossier black. So that's changed. The rings are wider than they used to be on the grenade. I've noticed that as well. I think the lower body is exactly the same as before. Someone posted a picture online. They compared the boxes. This box is higher. It sits higher than the previous one. The other one is a little bit shorter. And there's a little bit of a difference in the arrows and the buttons as well. So the box seems to be slightly redesigned. It's definitely taller than the previous version. As I said, I haven't assembled it. I'll show you the rest of the parts in a minute. One of the most interesting features about this, which was a real selling point for me, was the new pommel. This pommel can be adjusted so that the tri-ring can be clocked in anywhere you want it, really. Because one of the things I'd noticed about the Disney prop was that the tri-ring location was different to what we'd seen on screen. And I sort of questioned people about that. And at first, I think Dennis was hesitant to change it. He kind of wanted to keep the tri-ring location the same as the previous version, i.e. like just what we see on screen. But I think he then sort of changed his mind, based on feedback from myself and I'm sure other people too. And he decided to make a kind of a 3-piece pommel so that you can kind of rotate and clock the pommel cubes and have the tri-ring sit wherever you want to, essentially. So that's really cool. I'll just show you quickly the pommel. So what I mean is that you can sort of take it apart so that the portion with the cubes spins freely on this. And when you've got this would be where the tri-ring is, obviously. So when you want it, or wherever you want it to sit, then you can kind of tighten that end cap on it, and that kind of secures it, locks it into position. I've also noticed that the pommel itself has kind of been, I think the word was tumble or something. Carl from Chaos Sabers tried to explain it to me, but I'm not really sure. There's apparently some sort of damage or weathering. It's intentional to give it kind of that look. This is going to be distributed by KR Sabres in the UK and Sabre Bay in the US. I got mine directly, I think, from Dennis, because I was signed up on the pre-order. I mean, it was shipped by KR, but if you buy it directly from KR Sabre's website, you get a much nicer box than this. You get a nice red design with some artwork of the Sabre. But KR said he chose not to have his pommel like that, so his would be sort of a cleaner finish, just like the rest of the hilt. But mine is the way sort of Dennis wanted it to be, so that's fine. It's just slightly different. So this is obviously the vented pommel for sound, but it does come with a static pommel. Okay, a couple of bits of accessories in there. So there's a static pommel for display. Here we have a set of the arrows, which these are the sort of the nice, bright, accurate color for TLJ. But there's also an extra pair that looks different. I think these ones kind of diffused light a bit more, so they're probably just a little bit brighter for FX. Okay, and we also have the control box card, which is double-sided. This is a standard kind of TLJ look. And on the reverse is like the Force Awakens, behind the scenes, the thicker traces that was seen at Celebration. And I got 2 tri-rings with this, which is really cool. Very happy with that, because I wasn't really happy with the shape of the tri-ring on the previous Creepy Uncle. But now there's 2 of them. So this one is definitely more rounded, and that looks to me much more accurate. At least to the Disney prop. It's also a little smaller than it used to be, so I'm quite happy with this one. This looks very similar to the previous one, although it still appears to be a little smaller. But yeah, that's fine. I will probably be going with that rounded one, but I'll look at the reference pictures and double check. But even this one, I feel like that's an improvement over the previous one. I feel like even this one is a little bit softer on the corners there. So yeah, 2 tri-rings, 2 sets of arrows of different shade, control box card, 2 sets of pommel caps, vented and static. And then, as I said, it's a 3-piece pommel, which is that's one of the new features. The button and the control box has been slightly redesigned. The matte black finish of the anodizing, the thicker grenade rings, bronze versus brass, and the hidden emitter screw. And those are a quick kind of rundown of all the differences between the previous Creepy Uncle and the current Creepy Uncle. So what I intend to do with this is obviously assembly, weathering. I'd like to do a little bit of chemical weathering, darken it up a bit. I'll compare it to the Disney prop and try to match that appearance. And then I'll send it to my friend to get installed. And hopefully I will do a follow-up video very, very soon, kind of showing it off, fully finished. But for now, I hope this video was informative. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.